What Michael B. Jordan did to his CEO shocked the whole of Hollywood. Before we get to the story, subscribe to the channel and write a comment from where you are watching this story. Michael didn't come for the tips. He was the owner of Lux Bistro, a fact known only to his lawyer and a few trusted advisors. After hearing complaints about mismanagement and discriminatory practices from lower-level staff, he decided to investigate firsthand. Posing as a waiter, he wanted to feel the restaurant's pulse, especially the behavior of its director, Richard Caldwell, known for his charisma with VIPs and contempt for those he deemed beneath him. As Michael polished a wine glass, his thoughts churned. I created this place to be a symbol of excellence, not a playground for egos. He'd grown up in Englewood, far from Michigan Avenue's glitz, and had clawed his way to success as an actor and entrepreneur. Lux was his passion project, proof that quality and dignity should define a place, not status or wealth. But the staff's complaints, racial slurs, unfair schedules, public humiliations, suggested his vision was crumbling under Caldwell's reign. The kitchen doors swung open and Richard Caldwell strode in. His tailored suit and slicked-back hair radiated authority, but his smirk carried another message. Control. He scanned the dining room, lingering on a table of well-dressed investors before landing on Michael, who was wiping down a nearby table. "You," Caldwell barked, snapping his fingers. "New guy, get over here." Michael straightened, his expression neutral, though his pulse quickened. He approached Caldwell, who had settled at a reserved table in the center of the room, a spot for the elite. "Good evening, sir. May I take your order?" Michael's voice was steady, professional, with a hint of warmth. Caldwell didn't look up from his phone. "Make it quick. I don't have time for amateurs." He tossed the menu aside. "Just bring me the Wagyu, medium rare, and a glass of the 18 Chateau Margaux. And don't screw it up." Michael nodded, jotting down the order. "Of course, sir. Anything else?" Caldwell finally glanced at him, narrowing his eyes, sizing him up. "You're new, huh? Figures." He leaned back, his voice dripping with condescension. "Just don't spill anything on me, all right? I've got a reputation." The words stung, but Michael's expression didn't waver. "He doesn't even see me," he thought, "just another body to order around." He turned toward the kitchen, but Caldwell's voice cut through again. "And tell your buddies back there to hustle. Last time I waited 10 minutes for a drink. Pathetic." A few nearby patrons glanced over, smirking. A young server, Maria, a Latina woman with tired eyes, overheard and shot Michael a sympathetic look before hurrying off. In the kitchen, Michael relayed the order, sensing the tension among the staff. The line cooks moved like automatons, their faces tight with stress. One of them, Jamal, muttered, "Caldwell's in a mood tonight. Good luck, man." Michael nodded, absorbing the warning. He'd heard enough about Caldwell's tantrums, berating staff in front of guests, docking pay for minor infractions, and favoring white employees for promotions. It was worse than he'd feared. Returning with the wine, Michael found Caldwell mid-conversation with a guest, a wealthy-looking man in a pinstripe suit. "This place is a goldmine," Caldwell boasted, "but you've got to keep the help in line. Some of these people," he gestured vaguely toward the staff, including Michael, "they don't know their place." Michael set the glass down carefully, his jaw tight, but his movements fluid. "Keep it together," he told himself. "This is about the bigger picture." But Caldwell wasn't done. As Michael stepped back, he called out, loud enough for nearby tables to hear, "Hey, waiter, you forgot the amuse-bouche. What? They don't teach you basic service where you're from?" The room seemed to pause. A few patrons chuckled, others looked uncomfortable. Maria, clearing a nearby table, froze, her eyes darting to Michael with pity and fear. Michael's heart pounded, but his face remained a mask of calm. "My apologies, sir. I'll bring it right out." Caldwell scoffed, turning back to his guest. "See what I mean? You give these people a chance, and they still mess it up." The night wore on, and Caldwell's behavior grew bolder. He sent back the Wagyu twice, claiming it was overcooked, despite its perfect sear. He snapped at Maria for a smudge on a fork, reducing her to near tears. When Michael delivered the amuse-bouche, Caldwell barely acknowledged it. instead launching into a tirade about incompetent staff to his guest, loud enough for the entire section to hear. Michael's patience was a steel thread, fraying but intact. He moved through his tasks, observing, listening. The staff's fear was palpable. Jamal's clenched fists, Maria's trembling hands. Even the patrons seemed uneasy, their laughter forced. But Caldwell reveled in his power, oblivious to the storm brewing. Then came the breaking point. As Michael cleared a nearby table, Caldwell waved him over again. "You," he said sharply, "I heard you talking to the kitchen staff. What's your name?" "Michael, sir," he replied, meeting Caldwell's gaze. "Michael, huh?" Caldwell's lips curled into a sneer. "Let me give you some advice. You're in over your head here. This isn't some corner diner. Stick to what you're good at, cleaning tables maybe, and leave the real work to people who can handle it." The words landed like a slap. Maria gasped softly, and Jamal, passing by, stopped dead, his eyes blazing with anger. A hush fell over the nearby tables. Michael's mind raced, but his voice remained even. "I understand, sir. I'll do my best to meet your standards." Caldwell laughed, a harsh, dismissive sound. "My standards? Kid, you couldn't meet them in a million years." The room felt smaller, the air thicker. Michael's calm was a shield, but inside he burned. "He thinks he knows me. He thinks he knows all of us." He glanced at Maria, who looked ready to bolt, and Jamal, whose fists were now balled at his sides. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about them, about every worker demeaned, dismissed, or degraded under Caldwell's watch. Michael stepped back, his decision made. He'd seen enough. Tonight, Caldwell would learn exactly who he was dealing with. He returned to the kitchen, where Jamal and Maria were prepping another order. "You okay, man?" Jamal asked quietly, his voice trembling with barely contained rage. Maria, wiping tears, added, "He had no right to talk to you like that. It's not the first time." Michael smiled, his calm contrasting the tension around him. "Don't worry, I'll handle it." He pulled out his phone and sent a brief message to his lawyer. "It's time." Then, taking a deep breath, he returned to the dining room. Caldwell noticed him and snorted. "What, back for more? I told you to stay out of the way of real work." The guest at his table laughed, but it was nervous. The tension in the room was palpable even to outsiders. Michael stopped at Caldwell's table, his posture relaxed, but his voice hard as steel. "Mr. Caldwell, I'd like to clarify something. You said I'm out of my depth, but it seems you're mistaken about where you stand." Caldwell rolled his eyes. "Oh, please, spare me the lecture, waiter. Go wipe some tables." Michael didn't budge. His voice grew quieter, yet more piercing. "My name is Michael B. Jordan, and I'm not just a waiter. I'm the owner of this restaurant." The room froze. Conversations halted, forks hung in mid-air. Maria nearby clapped a hand over her mouth. Jamal, just emerging from the kitchen, widened his eyes. Caldwell blinked, his face paling, then flushing red. What did you say?" he stammered, his confidence melting. Michael continued, his tone steady but each word landing like a hammer. "I created Lux Bistro to be a symbol of quality and respect. But you, Mr. Caldwell, have turned it into something else. I've heard the complaints, racial slurs, humiliations, unfair treatment of staff. Tonight I saw it for myself." Caldwell tried to interrupt, his voice shaky. "This is absurd. You can't be— I'd know if—" But his words trailed off as Michael held up his phone, showing an email from the board of directors with his signature as owner. "You're fired, Mr. Caldwell," Michael said, his voice calm but final. "Gather your things. Security will escort you out." The room erupted in whispers. Some guests filmed the scene, their faces a mix of shock and admiration. Caldwell, sweating and flustered, stood, muttering about misunderstandings, but no one listened. 2 security guards, summoned by Michael, waited at the entrance. As Caldwell was escorted out, the room broke into applause, tentative at first, then thunderous. Maria ran to Michael, her eyes shining with tears, but this time of joy. "Thank you," she whispered. Jamal, grinning, clapped Michael on the shoulder. "Man, that was unreal." Michael addressed the gathered staff. "This place belongs to you as much as it does to me. I want everyone here to feel respected and valued. We'll review schedules, wages, and policies. If any of you face injustice, my door is always open. The next day, the incident swept Chicago. Local media ran the story. Famous actor and restaurant owner exposes discrimination in his own establishment. Social media buzzed with posts under the hashtag #LuxReform, where people shared their own stories of workplace injustice. Michael gave an interview announcing a training program for managers to prevent discrimination and an anonymous complaint system for staff. Maria and Jamal joined a new staff council to help implement changes. Guests who witnessed the scene returned to Lux Bistro, not just for the food, but to support a business that stood for justice. Restaurants across the city began reviewing their policies, inspired by Michael's example. Michael stood by Lux Bistro's panoramic window, gazing at Michigan Avenue's lights. He knew this was just the beginning. Change in one restaurant was a drop in the ocean, but every drop creates ripples. Turning to a camera filming for a local news channel, he said, "Injustice thrives when we stay silent. If you see something wrong, speak up. Act. Your voice has power, even if it feels like no one's listening. Start small, and the world will shift." He smiled, his eyes alight with hope. Share your story. Lift up those who are overlooked. Together we can do more.